teach you how to feel finger to finger, interlinked.
Interlinked.
Do you long for having your heart interlinked, interlinked?
Interlinked.
Do you dream about being interlinked?
Interlinked.
What's it like to hold your child in your arms, interlinked?
Interlinked.
Do you feel that there's a part of you that's missing, interlinked?
Interlinked.
Within cells, interlinked.
Within cells interlinked.
Why did you say that 3 times? Within cells, interlinked.
Within cells interlinked. Within cells interlinked. Within cells interlinked.
We're done.
And yet we're just getting started. Here we are today with our guest, Danny Cozmos, the man, the myth, the legend himself. We are starting today with first him introducing himself. He's got quite the track record. And so I want to hear about who you are, let the people know what you're doing. Who is Danny Cozmos? Who are you?
Danny Cozmos. Well,
yes, sir. Come on.
let's see now. I guess at heart I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
That's where it all started, but always been a musician, and somewhere along the line, musician turned into entrepreneur. Now I'm a small business owner down in San Diego. You know, but my career takes me everywhere, man. I've toured all over the place, constantly. I was just in Spain, Germany, going to Utah. You know, just traveling a lot, living the rock star life, and just trying to make it happen. I guess by day, recording engineer, sound engineer, drummer, like I said, business owner. I spend a lot more time nowadays behind a laptop sending emails than I do actually on stage. But at the end of the day, I'm proud to say I'm a full-time musician.
And it's kind of part of the job.
It is the whole job, actually. There is no job without it.
Exactly.
Actually.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, man.
That's exactly it. And so, not only that, but there's a special something we have here today, and we're introducing it with Danny. So here we are for the first time. Prepare yourself.
That's intense.
So we have a new show, a new game for the show, I should say. And here we are with
How Are We Linked? Whoa, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so the way the game show works is going to be, we got 4 cards here set up for Danny, and you get to pick, which card, whatever one pulls you the
If
most.
I pick the wrong card, do I have to jump in a Shark Tank or something?
It might be backstage, so
Okay.
just letting you know.
Shoot.
What's calling you maybe?
Meeny, miny, mo. 2. I'm feeling 2.
Oh.
I'm feeling 2.
I actually wasn't expecting that.
You gonna read it? Do I read it?
You read it.
I can't read.
Why did I was like, okay, I didn't make sense.
What is currently your toughest obstacle to overcome? See, I can read.
There you go.
That was my toughest obstacle, was reading. Oh man, that's a good question. Currently,
like
man,
right now.
Okay.
Current. And it could be anything, bro. We're talking business. We're talking life.
I think currently is understanding that I can't be everywhere all at once. Being happy to turn down situations. Yeah. There you go. That's my answer. Because I spent so many years of my life in the grind, right? We're going up on, let's see here, that would be 13 years of doing live music. 13 years doing live shows.
And that's not even counting the practice that was
No, right?
I
say we've always been going there. But when it comes to being out into the world, 13 years, and now 4 years as, let's say, more or less a professional, right? Yeah. My toughest obstacle I keep finding myself running into is I spent so many years fighting tooth and nail, right? Because musicians are broke. We don't have money. There's no opportunities. There's no this. You have to go and you have to send emails and fight every day just to get enough things to add up to maybe equate to a minimum
and you have to
job,
create,
right? And you have to just it's not like someone just comes up to me and goes, "Here's a platter of everything you're going to do for this month."
Exactly.
It's 2 months ago. I had to go, okay, what's my August going to look like? How do I set myself up for success to get everything done? But what I keep doing now is that I've kind of established myself some more. and I've gotten some really cool opportunities that now, whereas Danny 2 years ago would fight to just find something to do for the week,
Yeah.
I'm actively trying to clear things out of my life,
Dude.
because every day there's probably 2 or 3 gigs or things that are demanding my attention. So
Yeah.
at that rate, that's 14 to 21 things a week that I'm trying to balance on average.
In 7 days.
In 7 days, right? When I'm trying to be a good fiance, a good dog owner, a good
Exactly.
homeowner, a good whatever, it's like to find the power and the confidence to turn things down happily and not go to bed that night and be like, man, I'm so lazy, like I missed out, like I didn't do the opportunities. Like, no, it's like I've worked so hard so that I can turn down opportunities. Now, I don't have to take everything, but still, there's that fight or flight instinct inside me that's like, but like, what if I can't make rent next week? It's like, I don't live in that world anymore, but my mind's still there. That aggressive entrepreneur mindset of like, I take it all. I don't care if I don't sleep. Like, say yes, say yes, say yes. Well, now I can start to say no. It's pretty good.
I feel like you're transferring from like the survival part of like getting things started into the living, and like now you're going from like the survival of like I need to take everything I can, even if I don't sleep. Like I gotta survive in this. I need to make it happen. And you still have the drive of like I need to make it happen, and I'm making it happen. I can tell just by the way you're like talking about it. But on top of that, now it's like a more balanced, like living the life versus like surviving.
I'm in it now.
Exactly.
I spent years building it, and now I'm living it, and something feels wrong. It's like, wait, where's the what something's missing? Like what?
I had someone tell me I have like the baby version of that right now, and like I had someone tell me because my issue, like I was telling you earlier, was like I'm on the plane, I'm editing the video. I land and like I'm in a vacation type of environment. I'm making music. I'm worried about making posts, captioning things, responding, all these things. And then back on the plane again, going home, I'm editing again. And I like, even when I was there, I was making music. It's like, it's just like that constant workflow versus like actually taking the time to enjoy the vacation. And so I had someone come up to me and they're like, I wish I had that problem. They're like, I'm so stuck in my 9-to-5 job that like, I wish I could focus on editing and like posting and creating. And so it gave me that gratitude of like, okay, like even though I do need to balance it, like I'm lucky to have this problem or like this issue, you know what I mean? And so what you have, and sorry to cut you off, but I want to get this last thought across because I just feel like you need to hear it, is like, even though you're feeling like that gnawing feeling of like, what if I'm being lazy, or like, what if I need this or I need that, like, you're at the point where that problem, it's a good problem to have. You know? Like, it's a really good problem to have. So don't overlook that.
Definitely like the feeling like, because there's a lot of people that would love to change shoes career-wise.
Yeah, of course.
Because it is fun, right? Like, I've never worked a 9-to-5. I'm lucky.
I've
always been on this grind, right?
You call it luck, but you've been working.
Right, yeah. But to me, it feels like luck, because like, what do I know, right?
Blessed, luck, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
That's how it feels. Yeah,
Non-stop.
I'm glad you see it, because it has been a freaking
It's hard
grind,
not to
man.
see it,
I mean, where now I'm at that point where it's like, okay, I've evaded the 9-to-5, but now I'm working a 7 to 2 in the morning.
Like, and the 64-hour
studio binge. It's like
exactly, yeah.
Which is crazy because the actual amount of hours I work is like, well, I think a while ago, some of my family asked me like, okay, like, what does that actually look like? Like, what did you work this week?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let's add it up. It's like a normal week, right? Obviously, my lifestyle, every day is different. Every week's different. Every hour is different of what I do. There's no consistency. It's all wild. Whatever I'm trying to do, what opportunities come, shiny little toys. I'm like, okay, I'll do all of that right now. Like, sure. Yeah. Because it's fun, man. We're 22. Like, let's go party. Let's go be the rock stars. Let's go just travel and see cool things. But I got asked and I was like, let me add it up. Like, let's add up how much I work. I believe it was oh man, I'm gonna feel like such a jerk if I overstep this, but like
You're fine.
I think it was 106 hours in the week, and that was like my work week, and those were hours where we're not talking about the sitting just derping around on my computer. We're talking like like you're actually working, like actively pursuing something.
Yeah.
And that's just because, like I said, it's most people go through life and they think like I accomplished this thing today. It's like, well, I dropped that 5 years ago. Like I no longer live my life trying to accomplish a thing in a day. I go on my life trying to accomplish multiple things a day, right? Like there's not enough time just to go one thing by one thing.
Yeah.
You have to be doing all 10 at once.
And so how did you get there though? Was it one thing at a time?
Yeah, but it was one thing at a time. But what happened was that mentality, that hunger mentality of just keep saying yes, right? I didn't limit myself to one thing at a time. I didn't get tired after one thing at a time. Of course, we all have our times and it ebbs and flows. But
of course,
there's been a long period of my life where it's just, I'm the yes man. Like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll make it work. I'll make it happen. I'll hit that deadline, even though that's crazy. It's just like when someone else can't do it, it's just another opportunity for me to show that I can be that person, And I have 1.5 million stories on that, but
I bet.
We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
I've seen them firsthand too. You're good at it.
It's that lifestyle of like, there's no room. So yes, one thing at a time, but I've never limited myself to one thing at a time. I've pushed to hit the 2 to 4 things a day, right? And it's that little effort, you quadruple your output.
Yeah, and at this point, like, I'm not saying it has to be one at a time, but I like to mention that, like, when you started, like, there's no way you start and you have all these things that you want to do, and you're, like, doing 10 things at once, you know what I mean? Because you get overwhelmed.
And I didn't even know what the 10 things were. I don't even know what I need to do.
You're just like, all I know is I need to do things.
I gotta work, but there's no work to be done. Like, you have to create it. You have to make something for you to do.
Yeah.
And it's really challenging.
It is. And for me, what helped was, like, the drawing board. Like, I bought a whiteboard, and I started there. Before even the whiteboard, I started with my notes on my phone. And it was just a daily thing. And then, like you said, it went from like the one at a time thing. Then you realize it's like you're striving for more than one thing in a day. Like once you get to that point where you're like, what you're going after, you're like, okay, well, yeah, I need to like mix this song, but I also need to think about like advertising and marketing it like actively. And on top of that, like for you, you're like managing bands, you're like doing all these other things. Like you got to start doing multiple things in one day. Like, there's no way you can just do one thing at a time. Like, there's multiple on your mind, but to take them and, like, put them down and know, like, how you're gonna proceed and, like, take them down, like, that helps a lot with me personally. How do you manage, like, doing all these things at once? Because if you're saying you're handling them all at the same time, are we talking like actively, like same time, like 2 hands, 2 computers, or like what?
I say, you ready? This will give you a great example. Last week, I was sitting and like, so in my day consisted of, I wake up, go on a walk with the soon-to-be wife and take care of my dog, make my coffee and all that, and I sit down with my laptop and I go, okay, what's on my list from the night before, right? I always make my list the night before. It just kind of helps me wind down from the night.
Okay, yeah.
Just kind of jot down things.
Yeah.
I do analog. I'm pen and paper. Like,
okay.
What do I need to get done? What do I need to get done?
Yeah, that's good.
Usually those transfer over to a notes file on my desktop. Just so I see it when I'm actually working.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll sit down and, usually I go to work about 3 p.m. Down to a venue that I work at. And so I'm like, okay, whatever my time is. Like I have 4 hours right now to get this done. So while I'm actively, right, like, so that would be my one thing. So like if I were just living on the simple plane, I could get away with just doing that and that'd be successful, right? Like you worked 10 hours at your job, right? 3 to 1 a.m., that's 10 hours. You hung out with your significant other, you took care of your dog, and you made something. Like that's an accomplished day.
That's a full day.
But it's not for me, right? What I see is there's 4 hours of dead time right there. So what do? So I'll be mixing a song, and then while I'm waiting for plugins to load, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna go send an email, and then when that email sends, my session will be up, and so I'll go in there, I'll tweak something. But then while that's tweaking, I'm gonna be listening to a reference because I know what I need to tweak. I'll listen to my reference, and then I'll bounce in. While that's bouncing, I gotta jump on a call real quick. So I'll step outside, I'll call, one of my business partners or a band I'm working with, whatever. I try to minimum make 2 to 3 calls a day, just with people in my sphere because that's what keeps it going. Checking in, actively. Work on the grind because there's a lot of bands in my circuit that I work with and I really enjoy and love as people, and so that's constantly on my mind. And then I'll come back and now I got car tested, so I'll go I'll drive around the car and then I'll do that. And it's just that kind of constant cycle of there's never a dead 5 minutes, right? It's not like I'm gonna sit here and wait for my computer to load. That's not a thing. It's while that's loading, I have my phone and I gotta send some emails. And then while that's bouncing, right, while that's analyzing whatever it is, I need to take care of something else. And that whole time, I'm listening to music, I'm ingrained in it. For this example, I was mixing that day. And I'm thinking, what's our promo gonna be? What's the deal gonna be? How many points on this record makes sense? And what's the distribution that we're gonna use? And are we gonna go through my company? Are they gonna go independent? Are we gonna try to outsource to a third-party label? And other things are running through my head. So hands are doing one thing, mind's doing another thing, and anytime there's a break in either of those two, it drops down a level and we go to the next task, right? And that's how you kind of block it out, because then I can walk away and instead of saying, well, I got my second thing done for the day I mixed, it's no, I booked 2 shows, I called 3 of the bands, I advanced another show, I got, X amount of emails done for this tour that I'm planning. I bounced 2 tracks to send off to the bands that I'm recording. I did my schedule for next month, and I'm ready to go work a 10-hour day.
And you mixed the song.
And right? I say balance, but you always mix before you balance, right? But yes, I was mixing the songs. So and that will be how I send myself off to work, and then I work, I get home, relax, and it's the same thing the next day. And so much of my time has been spent trying to get down to a flow that I can do that consistently. Because for a while I'd get overwhelmed, and
that was my follow-up.
I'm by no means perfect. Trust me, there was days, but before where I'd be man, I didn't get home till 2:30 last night, working. Right. I'm so tired. I slept in. All I want to do is just sit on the couch today. I was okay, well, I realized those were actually worse for me than getting stuff done, because something about feeling accomplished, closing my computer, being wow, I just got one step closer to getting it done. Because chronically, and you understand this as an artist, and especially as the entrepreneur mindset, right? I care a lot about my company and what we do. Is that there's never an end to the list. It's not I have a to-do list that's here's my 10 bullet points, and once I finish those, vacay time, that's not a thing. It's you finish one, then the next one adds, right? It's it's never ending.
Constant growth.
So it's basically the game of can I outpace myself, right? If I'm set for this trajectory, can I get that done a day sooner? And whatever that distance is gonna be, I can either fill with more stuff, or B, fill with some Daniel time. You know, find something fun to do.
That's good.
It doesn't come along because I'm kind of a workaholic, a little bit addicted to it. But
that's what you're in it right now.
That's in it, man. I wouldn't change my place for the world. I love what I do. It's so much fun, and I get to just it's rockstar life, man. It's addictive. That's the life. That's all I want to do.
Roll by the horns.
Man.
Yeah, I love that. Just hearing the way that you talk about how you go about your day by day makes me so fucking excited.
It's exciting.
I had that moment where I felt I needed a break, and recently I did. My break was I realized when I make music with all my artist friends who are I consider family really, I noticed that we just make music, we talk in between, they're on the balcony, we'll have our moments, but it's never let's just hang out, we're always productive, and I love that, because anyone who knows me on a personal level knows when we're hanging out, I want to do something productive. The past couple times we've hung out, it's I want to be let's go studio, let's do this, it's always been studio, you know what I mean, let's make something, let's create something, something, but we need those days where it's a hot spring day, like for my birthday.
Oh, wow, that was a
Videos on my
long
channel,
time
like,
ago, man.
Dad, that was already a year ago, man.
Wow.
That was already a year ago, bro.
That's crazy. Over a year ago.
Over a year ago. And so days like that, bro, that like, we need them, but it can't just be like some of us hang out on the couch.
Yeah.
Let's go outside, bro.
Well, you want to,
like, you know?
you want to something interesting on that? So you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how like all the Instagram like pyramid scheme dudes always like, write this tax write-off and like, I never take a vacation. I only ever take business trips, right? Like,
Yeah.
there is some legitimacy to that, right? Like, it is true.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do it all the time. Like,
Mhm.
I never take vacations if you're the IRS. It's always business trips.
Yeah, business trips.
You know? But take that philosophy and put it a little more to the personal life, where it's like, take a vacation, right? A break.
Mhm.
But like, there's a lot of ways to still be productive on your break.
Exactly.
Productive being you saw someone that you haven't seen in a long time, right? Like,
literally.
you did an opportunity that's fun, that doesn't necessarily line up with your career, but like, it's just good for your soul.
Mhm.
You know, I said that like for today, right?
Yeah.
I turned down two gigs
Mhm.
to be here today. And the only reason I say that is because this is me actively taking a break. Being like, I just want to go hang out with my childhood best friend and just go talk, man, because like that's what I need. You know, the gigs can wait, whatever. I'll go back to work tomorrow.
And I appreciate you for doing that. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
No,
so
but you know,
thank
we're
you.
still being
That means a lot.
productive.
Exactly.
It's a break, but it's so productive.
And it's a timeless one too, let me mention. Like that hot spring thing,
Yeah.
like just like this is something we're gonna look back on, like our first podcast together, you know
Yeah,
what
that's
I mean?
fun.
Like that's pretty special.
Oh,
man.
totally.
That's pretty special.
And like, you know, it's not everything has to be all or nothing, right? Like there's a lot of gray area in life, you know. Even on vacations, like I don't like just go on vacation, just sit on the couch. Like trust me, sometimes I do, but if I'm gonna go there, like I want to go there for a reason, whether it's a show or for a little bit of work, right? Like I love doing this thing where I'll go to a new place and like say if I'm there for a week, I work like 2 of the days, and those 2 days, you know, kind of quantify me taking the trip. It's like, okay, that makes sense now. I could have gone for just those 2 days, but let's spread this out and do a full week. And then those are my days to go experience life and have fun. But then when I come home, I don't feel like I just lost a week of my life on vacation.
Exactly.
And that lets me keep up the pace that's so aggressive.
It's not like a restart. Like
no, it's not.
You're not tripping over something and falling into like a slump. It's like you're going from running to jogging.
Yeah.
And maybe like a light jog, and then you're back into like the sprint. Because now you're like rested, your soul feels reassured, you spend time with the people you love, and you were still being productive in a way that wasn't draining. So now you can just fucking go headstrong again.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, very fucking.
I mean, even like being productive on an off day is like listening to music.
Yeah.
You know, people don't really realize that a lot of the time, is that you get so wrapped up doing your own music that you don't realize that, like, you know, how many songs are uploaded to Spotify a day, right? Like a crazy amount. I think it's like, I'm totally guessing, but I think it's something like almost like 100,000 songs. It's like a ludicrous amount of songs are uploaded every day, and that's just new material being put on the world that we need to constantly be consuming to stay up to date. So it's like even that is research. If you're in any other field, that'd be research, right? You read articles, you read blogs. Like, no, like we're gonna listen to some new tracks. We're gonna listen to what people are doing nowadays, because technology and techniques are always changing. So you gotta stay up to date on that.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, another way of being productive on those off days.
Yeah.
Wow, crazy tangent, but
Dude,
I love stuff like that.
I completely agree. I want to say, like, first of all, I thought the number was 60,000.
Maybe it's 60,000.
Is it okay?
I don't know.
Let's say between.
I remember it was
60
a
and
lot.
100.
I remember it was like, wow, that's
60,000 even in a day is like ridiculous.
crazy.
And so, one thing I will mention that's like prevalently on my mind right now is like, how, and this is just, I'm curious to talk about your thoughts on this, like, how is music gonna continue to evolve, let's say like fucking like 30 years from now? Like we already have, like I was speaking with my friend Alex about this yesterday, like hard style 200 BPM, like foot to the floor, like maxing. Like how is music, like not, I understand it will evolve, but like where is it going to go in your opinion? Like what do you think is like,
I think I think a lot about this, and you know, coming from I call myself like an acoustic producer, right? Not that I do acoustic music, but it's just like I don't really dabble in the electronic field.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not my style. I work with rock bands and I like loud and guitars and heavy drums and stuff like that. Like that's where I kind of thrive.
Yeah.
So my answer, just kind of prefacing with like, it's gonna be very biased towards that. That's why I focus.
Well, let's hear it on your side of things.
In terms of bands, music like that, I've noticed people aren't necessarily looking for the classic trope of like, that's a catchy song and I relate about that, and like that's pop on the radio, right? It's like now everyone wants to be underground, everyone wants to be unique. There's such a lack of identity in everyone's lives right now, where people are either feeling so alone and misunderstood that they don't connect to anyone else, or they're feeling so bland that they're trying to find who they are.
Yeah.
And in turns be different than everyone else. And all that brings me back to is that music is that gateway to kind of find who you are, right? Like, my music taste isn't good. Like, generically in pop, like, no, my music taste is horrible. I listen to weird stuff, but I love it so much with my soul, and it makes me so genuinely happy that's where music's going towards, is that people are going to start finding, you see the trends shift, and like, rock and roll's coming back, man. Emo's coming back. Singer-songwriter country is coming back. Like, people are starting to stray away from pop. You see all these pop artists moving, right? Post Malone's a great example.
I love him.
That man is musically so gifted on so many different levels, but his transition from pop into the country world is like significant in a way that it's taking away all the layers, all the fluke, all the label, all the production, all the this and that. It's getting down to like a cool man telling us a cool story. That's what I want. That's where music is going, is that sharing each other's identities, sharing each other's stories to find something in a sonically pleasing way. That's where I think music is going, is that people are just trying to find how to be authentic and connect. And if that means that you have to blur some lines of, being genre specific or perfect or whatever it is, right? It's like, none of that stuff really matters.
I agree.
And for so long in the early to mid 2000s, it was shoved down your throats. Like, in order to be a successful pop song, you have to have A, B, C, B, D, right? Like, that's that's what you need. And you need autotune, and you need stereo painted guitars, double everything, and an 808 instead of a kick drum. Like, intro, right? Like, that's what was shoved down everyone's throats in every songwriting clinic, in every studio ever.
Literally.
But now it's different. Now, people are making Grammy-winning records in their bedrooms, just goofing off,
We are the
just making things weird.
Yeah.
And on one end, that feeds into the machine of, we'll call it 60,000 streams, or 60,000 songs uploaded a day. I'm sure, like,
it's gone.
I'm sure you can add the number, like, right here.
Yeah, we'll do a little something.
Yeah, a little something. But whatever that number is,
Uh-huh.
that bedroom, like, recording studio idea is really fun in that, funneling into that. Some on the label end call that an issue. Some on the artist end call that a blessing. I'm somewhere in between. I think oversaturation is real.
It is happening.
I think that a lot of music needs to get checked before it gets put out. I think a lot of us are a little too forgiving when it comes to putting out art just to meet a deadline, just to meet a quota. It's like, no, man, like, it's still art. If it takes you 2 years to put out that song, like, I don't care, because if that song was even 1% better, it was worth it.
Yeah, I feel that. And
There's
as
no
long
need
as
to
it gets
rush.
out though. That's where I have to draw the lines. Like, if you're like so like, oh, I love my art, but like I feel like it can be better, but then you never release it, it's like you're keeping the world from you. Like, we need you. Like, express yourself, please. And not only that, but it's like, what is perfect?
Truth.
Like, we as humans, I call us like perfectly imperfect. Like, we decide what is perfect. Like, we can be sitting here and we can be like, this is all I need. You know what I mean? Like, this is perfect. And we can be sitting literally in like the middle of a desert and lost and be like, this is perfect. And so,
it's so true.
So it's up to us completely. And it's just, if being perfect, quote unquote, is stopping you from releasing your music, like, I feel like as being an artist, part of it is learning how to let go. You know, like when we release a song, that's us letting go. Like we no longer have like, oh, I'm gonna mix this part of it or like do this. Like it's like burning that bridge in a way of like, take it. Like
it's printed, it's permanent.
Exactly.
It's there.
And sure, you can remaster in the future, do a vocal or instrumental version, whatever. But like at the end of the day, like that's the project, and now you're on to the next one, and it's relieving. Like I feel this sense of like not stress off my shoulders, but like that weight of like, oh, I need to make sure this is mixed and it sounds good and it's right and it's mastered. It's going good on the speakers, the cars, the iPhone, the headphones, like all of that is gone when you release it, and that's a part of it is like learning to let go. And I don't know, I think that's just something a lot of people overlook. Like you need to be willing to let go if you're gonna be an artist. Like you can't just hold on to every little thing you create. Like you gotta let the audience take it in and also let them choose how they perceive it.
Totally.
Like that's one of my favorite parts about music is like I'll make a song like completely for like my own like self-expression, like because that's where it comes from. Is like not for my own self-expression, but from my own self-expression. And then someone else will listen to that and completely interpret it in their own way that I never even thought was possible. And they'll DM me being like, oh, this reminds me of like this or that, and like I'm like every time I hear this song, like that memory plays in my head. And I'm like, this is about heartbreak. Y'all are like over here having a good time with it.
Totally.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's cool. Like we just get to pick and choose like how we feel about other people's art. And for someone to just like that oversaturation portion, where like they just kind of throw it out there without thinking about like, you know, what's actually being put into it. It's like take some extra time.
Yeah.
You know, it's your art.
Or just realize that like take some extra time because you're your own like boss, right? Like it's your song.
Person.
You're an artist, right? Like you're your own person, man. And yes, don't sit on it and beat yourself silly until every EQ is perfect. It's like, well, that's ridiculous. But you know, don't feel like there's some ticking clock. Don't feel like if you release a song in May, it's not going to do as well as if you released it in January. Like the people are still there. I promise. You know,
and there's people who release songs like decades ago and then they go viral like 20 years later.
You know, you're just putting it out there. Make it great. Make it what you want.
Yeah.
And just send it. Go for it. Right? Like no one's judging you.
Yeah. And that's the beauty, bro. Is like we get to freely be ourselves. And that's where I'll take us into this next question. Like when you're finally able to have like full control over like your own schedule, I understand like being in a band, you have to be willing to like compromise with other people, right? So when you are like creating music with like a team of people, how do you go about like being able to freely express yourself, but making sure like others are as well, so it doesn't like step on each other, you know?
I think that's been interesting in my career, seeing the shift because, you know, there's different levels of projects, right? There's projects where you're simply a mechanical person, right? Like you're a means to an end to get something done, right? So, for example, if a band comes to me and I'm mixing them live, and they have an established sound, right? Like I'm just a gear in the system that's making that end product how they want it, right? Versus this new band that I'm working with comes to me and they go, hey, you know, we have this idea. This is kind of what we want. We want this style. We really trust your vision. And we go into the studio and I'm so used to that other mentality that I look at them, I go, hey, what do you think about that? And they go, I don't know, like, that's what we got you for. Like, tell us what you want. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's understanding what your position is and acting appropriately to that by each situation, you know, and learning that you don't always have to be right, but you also don't always have to be wrong, right? Like, yes, everyone's opinions matters, but it depends whose opinion is kind of in priority there for the group project, right? So when I do these videos or the company does these videos, like, yes, I may have my opinions, but at the end of the day, like, I have to have the ego check to know, like, well, who's whose idea am I going to trust? Mine that I just thought of off the whim, or my creative director that I trust to hold this project, right? Like, I'm probably going to go with him.
Yeah.
And if he spends his whole time catering to what I want, we're not going to get a good product.
Yeah.
You have to trust the other people on your team and their dedicated fields, right?
I see.
I think that makes the biggest difference.
And you have to like know the people on your team at that
Always,
point,
yeah.
right? Because if you just had some random creative director,
I wouldn't trust them the same.
and it would like make you want to like pick at the little things more. But I'm sure like again, the trust is established. So like you said, like you want them to take the lead there. And if there was something that was really bothering you, like you guys have that communication established where it's like, hey, like this little thing, like it's been on my mind. I feel like, what if we did this, you know?
Yeah.
And then you guys compromise, and I'm sure they're willing to communicate and like figure that out with you.
Or at least tell me why I'm wrong. Well, like why I'm wrong.
Exactly.
You know?
Not just a no. Like,
Yeah.
Like I hear you out, but like this is why we did it this way.
And
you know,
if you share, right, like every project I go into, across the whole board in all the fields I work in, it's always like to start, just kind of on a base level, getting to know each other, whether that's from past experiences or the current experiences, if it's someone new, just figuring out each other and what we want, and then setting a goal that you want to accomplish. And a goal isn't always numbers, it isn't always end products, but a goal is a mentality. It's like, what are we going after here? What's the vibe? What's the this? And then what that does is that gives you an anchor point that then, a week or two down the road, if we get in a scuffle about what color this mural is or whatever, what color that light is.
Yeah.
And I go, no, I really wanted this color because of this, right?
Yeah.
Then the other person on my team, whoever it is able to go, hey, remember that goal that we said we shared? Here's why that won't work for this. Here's a better option to end up with that same goal. And since I have the trust that we established that before, I know that that's true because I want that goal. I want that end product, no matter what it takes. So if my vision isn't going to take us there, well, then I'm going to need to change that and find something better.
I love that. It's so much active thought behind like a passive ability. Like you're actively conscious of the fact that you don't want to overstep, but you're passively making sure you don't like leave yourself behind, because you have an opinion. And of course, because you're creating, like it's a creative environment, everyone's gonna have an opinion. But you're making sure when the opinion is stated, again, like no clashing, it's just a mutual conversation. Like in my past band, the issue was like, I would mention like a suggestion and like the person, let's say, would take it in a way that's like, I'm arguing with them. But really it's just like, I'm just like, here's what I think, And like, I think it through, like you, like, I'm not gonna just like this dude just planned like a whole thing for the song. I'm not gonna just be like, no, like, let's not do that. Like, I've been thinking about it, like, I've been hearing it for a couple of days, like, and then I'm like, here's this approach, I have this idea. And for them to get defensive and offensive at the same time, that's when like no progress is gonna be made. Like the moment a conversation turns into an argument, like it's not a healthy work environment. And so again, that's why knowing the people you work with is so important. It's so important.
I think that's why I've kind of cut my circle pretty small. I'm like, I say small, it's still, a 30-person circle. But when it comes to the music industry, like it's all about who you know. It's all about who you work with. So the more I can kind of weed out kind of perspectives, I'll say, because it's not the people, right? It's nothing personal. It's their perspective on what this journey is. The more I can weed out people that don't align with my vision, the easier it gets. And obviously, diversity is great in terms of perspectives. So like I always want people that are going to counter me and aren't exact carbon copy of what I want, because then it'll just be bland. I can do it myself. I want people that bring in their own ideas, but again, towards a collective goal that we establish for whatever the project is. For a collective end result or thing or product that we need to accomplish. That's what matters. And there again, like this is gonna sound hard-headed, but like there's no room for feelings. Like feelings don't freaking matter when it comes to that. And that's like the business side of me coming out, because it's I hired you or work with you or work for you, either all three of those, for a reason. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you disagree with me at all. Now, don't be a dick. you know?
Exactly.
But that's different. That's a personal level.
No, I hear
Right,
that.
like,
I hear that.
you know, be respectful. We're all just trying our same thing, man. We're all just trying to get something done in the best way we can. We're all learning, you know. Yeah, there you go. Collaborating.
I love it. And
Collaboration.
for the greater goal. How, like, on that note, like, you don't have to give any names, but, like, have you ever experienced a work environment that was, like, harsh or, like, negative in a way where you, like, had to handle something? Like, and how did you handle it, you know?
Oh, man.
Like, how did you even go about that?
I mean, I'm sure there is. Like, yeah, duh, right? Like, we're all in this business, and you know, sometimes it gets really emotional and really heated, and you know, sometimes you have, even the people that you love, like, you're like, I really don't like you right now, like, you know, there's just those moments of like, no, and especially on certain things, I think get me going. You know, again, like, you know how much I love my work. You know how much I love what I do.
Yeah.
So I think when things get in the way of that, and I feel like they're not taking me seriously or legitimate. The big one that I always get is like, I've been in work environments before where I kind of get the cold shoulder because it's like, oh, you're young. You know, it's like, well, yeah, everyone on the team is 12 years older than me. You know, it's like everyone's in their mid to late 30s or 40s or 50s. You know,
that
it's
should
like,
say something about you.
right, but instead it gets looked at like, oh, must have been luck. Like, you must have just snuck your way in here. It's like, no, like, I've been grinding, and like, you know, I've been there, and especially, you know, I've worked with a couple of these older bands before, and just give me the cold shoulder and like, oh, you're doing it like that, you know, like, then snarky remarks. And I just have to handle myself and be like, I am doing it like that, and have that confidence to be like, damn straight I'm putting that microphone there because I believe in that, and like, my end result will speak for it. You know, so like, yes, you may have been doing that since the 80s, but like, guess what? 80s were 44 years ago. Like, we're not about that anymore. We're doing things different.
Exactly, and for a reason. It's
For
not
a
just
reason,
like we're
right?
doing it
Like,
different
yeah.
to do it different. It's
And I feel like the more professional you get in certain situations, that kind of goes away. A lot of people are really cool, but you know, some of the more amateur levels, especially, not like, I swear, I'm not dogging on the older generations. Like,
I hear you.
I'm all about them. I love learning from them, but the good ones, the people that are, you know, I look at and it's like, well, not that it's like an ego battle, but like, I am more accomplished than you. You know, like, I have done more than you.
Yeah.
Especially in this exact thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yes, I may be young, but like,
I know what
I'm
doing.
right. Like, I'm correct on this. You know,
Yes.
like, don't press me about this because like, there's a reason I'm saying this. And
And so how do you handle that?
I think just sticking to your guns. And you know me, I'm very polite, very, you know, I'm not a loud person when it comes to aggression, in my opinions. Like,
You're very respectful.
I'm very respectful. I very much care about people. Don't like to ruffle feathers. But I'm also not going to get pushed over, right? Like, it's not my way or the highway, but it's the right way, right? Like, if my way just happens to be the right way, you better get on board then. It's like, you're going to get left behind.
That's the goal.
You know, again, how we were talking, like, one of the first questions was about like learning to say no to opportunities. A lot of that comes with like carrying my own weight and being like, no. And like, if you disagree with me, like, I'm gonna walk out that door because there's 10 other opportunities that need my time. I've had to use that before with, you know, certain groups or certain opportunities or situations I've been put in where I really care about a project and I get so worked up because like, other person's just not getting it. They're not getting the end goal that I see, that we decide on, that goal that we talked about. They're off on the left corner, just not even paying attention to it. Checking them on it and having, you know, the gusto to be like, listen, I understand. We disagree this much. Like, I'm happy to walk away because that opportunity right there is looking better to me right now. Now, I'm loyal and I will stick with this, but if you're gonna come at me with that level of misunderstanding, like, I will happily go over to option EFG on my list for the day, right? You were option C,
Rightfully
like,
so.
I'll go down because all the way down my list is still pretty good, right? Like, the bottom of my priority list 2 years ago would have exceeded the top of my priority list, right? Like, because I've moved that quickly into what I do, that like, I kind of have the fallback and the confidence to be able to step away from situations and pull my weight. And oftentimes that gets it done because people go, oh, oh no, don't leave. I don't want that to happen. Like,
Yeah.
let's make this work. It's like, there you go. Okay, you were just trying to push me around. Like, now that we're serious, we can get this goal
Let's
accomplished.
get
Like,
work.
here's why you hired me. Here's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
pretty.
And that's for good reason, bro. I love to hear it. Like, one, that you're standing up for yourself, because especially like music industry wise and any industry, bro. If you don't have your own backbone, which is yourself, you are going to be pushed around like no
Yeah,
joke.
100%.
Like, you cannot be flailing in the wind like a flag. Like, you need to be your own backbone, and like you said, if we agree on an end goal as a group, and all of a sudden you're just like going off into this tangent of like a completely different direction, like, what happened to what we all just agreed on?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, like you said, that's where you righteously so should be standing up and like letting the person know, like, hey, like, it's not okay what you're doing here. Like, we agreed on this, and like, if you want to, like you said, go off and do that, by all means. But
Because I'm not desperate, right? Like, I don't need you. I don't need
And it's
this.
because you have yourself. Like, yes, you have these other options, right? But they came because of you. Like, you set yourself up to where you're not just like, oh, I need to take whatever I have. And even though in the beginning you were, like you said, like the yes man, like, I'm sure even then, if something like broke your morals or your ethics, you would have been like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so you set yourself up for success by having that backbone since the beginning. And like, that's why you are where you are now, is like, you're set up, you're good. Like, no one can push you around in that sense, and that's really good, bro. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, sometimes that gets, misunderstood for like ego, which is this constant battle as an artist, right? It's like, because if you have an ego, people look at you kind of funny.
I have a hot take on
But if
ego.
you don't have an ego, you're weak,
Bro,
or you got nothing.
ego is your best friend if it's passenger. When ego takes over,
Interesting. Okay.
when ego takes over, then at that point you're not even in control. But ego as a passenger is our best friend because it tells us, oh, this person just disrespected us. Like, why? Like, we can't just let that slide. But the second you let ego fully take over, you might like hurt someone, do some crazy, you know what I mean? Ego,
Or just say something you don't want to say, right?
It's on all spectrums. And like, but the thing is, we need ego. Like, there's a reason we have our ego, and that is to protect us. That is like that backbone that like, oh, this person is disrespecting the project by like going off and doing this without even like talking to us or mentioning it. Like, we need to say something, you know? And so I view ego, a lot of people think it's like, I need to like dismiss my ego. I even personally, literally like completely dismissed my ego for like 3 or 4 years. I felt like it was bad to have.
Yeah.
And that was because of a personal experience I had, which like, it's a whole other thing. But I learned recently, actually, like let's say 6 months ago, that ego really is the best friend. It's just like passenger for a reason. Yeah. So that's how I think of ego.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Glad.
That's great.
Hopefully it helps out.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's my take on ego. It's a positive thing if you allow it to be, bro. It's part of us. Like, we should not be like throwing some part of us down just because we don't quite understand it. Like, we need to sit with it, analyze it. Like, why is it there? And like, just because we're feeling it doesn't mean it needs to be front and center. But like, we shouldn't just ignore a thought. Like, when we have random thoughts, like, they are born, let's say, for a reason. And so even if it's a split second thought that like you may like not even want to think, it's like, analyze it. Like, why is it there? You know?
Yeah.
And then dig deeper within yourself, and from there you just like, oh, I didn't know I felt that way. You know, or like, oh, I guess I needed to feel this way in that moment. And it just grows from there, like us as a whole. So
Crazy.
ego is something.
Yeah.
And then we'll have my final question to you, and then I want you to ask me a question. I always enjoy asking my guests.
Okay.
Asking you a question because I'm curious what you got for me.
When are we gonna flip over the rest of these cards? I got
No. You only get one
Fun
card.
fact, they're actually all the same question.
Actually, I won't mind you. This one and this one, the difference is what is your current, like, and this one is what was. So like, that would have
I
been
should've
like a
picked that one,
past.
man.
I thought you were gonna pick
Oh,
one.
I should have.
I thought you were gonna pick one, but you went two.
We'll never know.
Okay, but maybe next podcast, you never know.
Maybe.
We're
I don't know,
gonna
man.
need
There
you
might
back.
be different cards.
I'll sneak it in there.
Okay, good.
But
So yeah, my next question to you, I want to talk about Spain. You just touring in general. 'Cause
I
we also
love
need
to.
catch up.
Okay, touring.
Okay. What is it like?
Oh, it's all over the place.
Like,
I mean,
what? Like,
okay.
take me through.
Yeah, so
Like,
let's see here.
What?
I've gotten a few really fun ones. I
Okay.
think probably like 4 of note would be this past Spain one with Dolphins on Acid. Before that was Saint Luna, the band that I manage. We went up to NorCal and did a couple runs. That was really fun.
Exciting.
Before that was Germany with another band, Blank Space, I was playing with. And then before that, we did a full coast run all the way up to top of Oregon, back down. So, that's a wide variety, right?
Yeah.
A couple Europe trips, a couple coast trips to kind of analyze from. But it depends on what shoes you're in.
Okay.
Touring as a musician
Okay.
is very fun. You show up to the venue, wherever it is, and it's cool because the idea is you get so burnt out working here, right? Working in the same venues, the same fans, the same this, that all of a sudden, all that hype that you had and all that emotion and feeling, you go to a new place and like you're starting from scratch. It's as if you just walked out of the garage.
Okay.
And that's what's so enjoyable about it, right? So, for example, the coast tour that Blank Space went on.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see is that depending on where we were, kind of highlighted like, who we are, what we can get better with. And with that one, I was strictly just a drummer. Like me and my best friends in a van, bring the gear, right? We depart early and, we're sleeping on the side of the road and sleeping in a tent or sleeping on someone's floor. And I think one of the nights we got a motel, maybe like 6 of us staying in a 2-bed. Okay, like that's very, more bottom of the barrel, like DIY, figuring your shit out.
Getting started.
But man, some of the best memories I've ever had, right? Because you wake up with your boys and it's like, what do you want to do today? Like, want to go on a hike and then let's go make sound check. Like, all right, cool, let's do it. Well, you're like, let's go drive through the mountains. Like, all right, yeah, cool, fun.
Yeah.
Now, getting into the Europe tours, those are a little more intense because you're away from home. And my first ever time leaving the country was Germany. With Blank Space. We're going to play for this travel company centered around Oktoberfest.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that.
Right. Huge festival. They see over 1 million people that year. Super fun. Got to actually go to Oktoberfest. Got the lederhosen, drank the steins, like did the full thing. Really got ingrained in that. Played some shows, but that was rough, man, because you're far away from home. Hannah and I weren't engaged yet, but it was heavy on my mind. And fun fact, that was actually the trip that I decided, like, all right, I'm going to do this when I get back home.
Really?
Was that trip?
Did something trigger that?
Yeah, okay, so check this out. Ready? Here's a great story. So we're on this train. Everything there's trains. And we took this train from the bottom of Germany, Munich, all the way up through Germany, through all the little cities, and then whoop, over to the Netherlands, Amsterdam. We're staying in Amsterdam in the red light district. Crazy experience. So many stories from that, but super cool, man. Really fun.
Okay.
And on the way there, it was like 4 a.m, and the only thing open was this McDonald's at a train station.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, send it. So I got these some nuggets. I think they were like technically like vegan nuggets because things are kind of, I don't know, it's in German, man. Like I don't speak German. I was like nuggets. I'm like, all right. So I think they were vegan, but they tasted weird, man. Like kind of slimy. And it's like,
interesting.
I'm so hungry. It's like I ate them all, dude.
Okay.
Within an hour, like,
oh
no, I'm gonna be sick. Like blue in the face, like sweating, like violently ill. And the rest of the train ride, we get to Amsterdam, and I'm miserable, man. We're in like week 2.5. No, like week 2. We still have about a week left.
Yeah.
Going to Amsterdam, like I'm so sick, and all I want to do is just like go hang out with my friends, and Amsterdam's beautiful, man. And one thing that's nice about that place, like there's all these canals, so like super water centric, and the little boats and the canals, it's gorgeous. And I'm sitting there on a canal, right? Just got off a train, just with my hoodie on, just like miserable, like and like big pile of vomit next to me, just like gross, just I'm feeling so bad.
Yeah.
And Hannah called me, and I just missed her so much. We're just chatting. I'm like, I'm so sick. Like, oh, I miss you. I love you so much. Like, I'll be home soon.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Like, yeah, that was beautiful. Not whatever.
No,
Like,
I
not
know.
whatever. You know,
You're
I'm
trying not to
I'm just brushing back past that part.
So
Okay, so then the boys go out to the bar. So I'm by myself. Yeah. They go out. Okay, I'm kind of walking around, and I get some like the only food I can muster to get was like these cool like noodles, like kind of stir fryer. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Sounds good. So I get like a cart and like barely making it through, and I'm sitting there with my legs dangling off the canal.
Yeah.
Starting to get it out of my system, so I'm starting to feel a little bit better, a little more clear-headed. And like, all right, so I'm sitting there eating my noodles, and
The guitar player in the band.
walks up to me and, oh hey, how's it going? Like, oh cool man, whatever, yeah. Okay, so he sits down, we're just chatting, talking about, yeah, I miss my girlfriend. I was like, man, me too. And I'm sitting there, dead silence. We're dead silence for probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just eating. All of a sudden I go, hey, I think I'm gonna propose.
Oh my god.
And he's like, what, really? I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I'm sick of this shit. Like, I'm sick of calling her my girlfriend. Like, no way. I was like, why am I gonna wait? Like, why, man? Screw that.
I literally knew when you said there was that 5-minute pause.
Yeah.
I was like, that's when it hit.
I was just sitting there looking at, I'll show you a picture. It's like gorgeous cathedrals and water and
Yeah.
beautiful restaurants, and everyone's happy and in love, and I'm sitting there miserable. Like, holy shit. If I could just be with this one person, like, everything would be better. Like, I would rather be in a shitty alley with her than in front of the most gorgeous place in the world.
Yeah.
Where I was. Like, I'm sitting here just like, if I had the opportunity, I'd pay any amount of money to fly home right now. Like, I miss her so much. And that, just something inside, like, really changed the way I function and turned into like, oh, that's a legitimate feeling. Like, go after that. And then a couple months later, it was amazing.
Dude, that's awesome.
There you go. That's a fun tour story. But flash forward, that was about a year ago. Spain was with Dolphins on Acid, which those are my boys, and I was drumming, but I was also kind of TMing, which is just tour managing.
Okay.
Making sure we get our planes, making sure we all get fed, making sure we have somewhere to sleep.
Booking.
Hotels, and that one was cool because we got taken care of a little bit more.
Nice.
I got to bring Hannah with me, so the whole weight of like, I miss my person, man, I wish I was home, like none of that existed because it was just what I did at home, right? Play music with my best friends and hang out with my fiance, but in a different country. So like, it was way more fun. It was a little bit shorter. Once you start getting into 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, like you get really tired and like really over it,
Is it because of the performing or the hours?
No, I think it's the being away from home. There's something about not sleeping in your own bed, not showering in your own shower, and not seeing your friends and your family. Like, I miss my mom, I miss it, like, I miss work, I miss having money, because like, you're not making a lot of money on the road and this,
Yeah.
And so, but that trip was really fun and specific because like, we saw a lot, we got taken care of really well, and it was beautiful. We were staying in Catalonia, and we stayed in the Basque Country. We drank like their authentic cider, and we went to the beach. I took a surfing lesson on the beach. Like, all this is supplied by the company that hired us out there, and like, just amazing, man. Having trains and cars, and at the festival, and like, I ran with bulls.
Okay.
Like, actual running with the bulls, yeah.
You have a video?
Oh, tons of videos. Yeah, me and Hannah both ran with, like, the running with the bulls, right? And you think it's just like, you think it just happens once. No, it happens 14 days in a row.
What?
It's a 2-week festival that they're constantly doing this. So we did it, man. Crazy. You have to wear like this certain clothes, and like, you don't want to talk because like they really don't like Americans. Like, you're just trying not to speak English. You're just like, you're just on go. And the bulls are so big. Like, the bulls are huge, man. And when they run, like, you just hear the bells ringing, and like, all of a sudden you just like black out and just like go, and you're pushing people, and like people are laying face down around you, and you're like, just ignore it, just go. And then you think like you get to the end of the run, and like, then what, right? Like,
They don't stop.
they don't stop. They put you in an arena with the bulls.
What?
So then you're in this arena, and they're letting out bulls every 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and you're just running around the bulls, running around the arena, like chasing you, and you're packed with all these people.
What if you get hurt? What if...
Yeah, like that. And when you get hurt, they cheer. There's a whole arena. You run into the arena, dude, and you feel like a gladiator because You're running in bulls next to you because
Bro,
you can't
that's
run
like
in before the bulls or else you get booed.
genetics kicking in right
Dude,
there, bro.
so you're running, there's bulls in front of you, there's bulls behind you, and there's people all around you screaming, they're whistling, like you feel like a gladiator. You run into there and then you go like, sweet, it's almost over, and you're like, nope, that's a bull. Like, oh man.
There's another one.
Gotta run. And like you try to jump, like I tried to jump over the edge, like get out of the arena, and the medics and police are there, just push you back in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there's like
How do you leave?
you don't. You have to stay in there.
The whole time?
Yes. So there's 5 rounds. Around the 3rd round, I was completely, like Hannah and I lost each other immediately because, you know, it's so many thousands of people and it's just a shit show. But I was kind of running, and I found there's like, the police are probably, I would say, in like half of, there's like the arena right and there's the wall, and the police and medics are probably covering almost about half of it, right? Like 1 point and 1 point. But on the sides, it's crowds.
Yeah.
If you run up to a crowd and it's, you know, some Spaniards or people and they know like, oh, you're a tourist, like, boop, they'll kick you down. They don't care. Like, eat it. But I was running, trying to find like anyone I recognize because we had a pretty big group for our buddy's birthday. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I know her. I don't know her name. I was like, hi. She's like, you're in the band. Like, come on, let's go. She clears away on the wall. I jump over and I turn right to my right, and there's Hannah standing right there. I'm like, yes, okay, we both live. She's like, I thought you died. I was like, what? I was like, we're only gone like 10 minutes. She's like, I was so worried. She's like crying, like all the adrenaline hits you, and you're like, whoa. But man, good times. So that was Spain. You know, me and my boys, you know, it was cool where we were playing, was like right on this river, so like, there's not much to do, right? You're just there doing music, and what's nice is that it really forces you to slow down, especially in Europe, because there's a 9-hour time difference, right? Like
9 hours is it?
I think it was 9.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I think it was 9. And so you're just living more or less on a different day than everyone else. So everything's happening back home here with the company, with the bands, with recordings, with everything. And then Hannah and I are just in our own world. You kind of respond whenever you can, but like there's kind of no service and a mutual understanding of like, hey, I might not be able to respond, but like I'm trying to still be involved. And then this is like, that's the cluster part of it. We're like,
But trust.
But trust, you just hope it's gonna work. And I got back and everything's good and still alive. And
That's pretty trust-based.
you know,
and now
happy,
you guys
man.
are getting married.
Now we're getting married. And,
I'm so
but
excited
yes,
for you.
yeah, it's good. It's super exciting. I mean, I'm a very happy boy because of that. It's gonna be good. So yeah, that's, you know, touring, it's all fun. Now, you know, aside from being a musician, on the management side, going with, especially with like St. Luna, it's cool because I'm more or less kind of caretaker, right? So like, I'd more or less be the first one up, and the boys wake up and I give them a per diem, which is like their cash, just to kind of live. I have a little sheet printed out for them, like, hey, here's our hours for the day. Here's our, you know, our statement, because constantly through tour you're adjusting the budget. So like every morning, every night, I sit down my laptop and go over the budget with them. Hey, here's what we did in merch sales. Here's what we did in gas. Here's what we did on food. Here's our next budget for tomorrow. Here's this. Here's the profit comp thing we're looking at. Here's the advance. Here's a sellout bonus. Like, hey, let's push this show over this show because, you know, you'll get that sellout bonus.
They get bonuses when you sell out?
Yeah. Sometimes it's even double your pay. So like if a venue cap is 300 and you sell 290 tickets, your pay may be $500, but if you sell 2 more tickets to 300, your pay's $1,000. So like it's things like that in the contracts you got to know, because that changes your priorities on where you market, because there's only so much attention you can grasp on social media from people that you have to pick the right shows to push that make sense financially and career-wise. But yeah, you know, that's a blast TMing for those boys. And then every night, I also am their front of house engineer, so I just get a mix for them. That's fun, you know, going into new venues and working on new equipment and new rooms, meeting new crew and mixing them, and it's, you know, it's always a blast.
That's awesome, bro. Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me excited.
Oh, it's fun, man.
Like,
it's the best time.
So where's the bull thing? This is
Spain, Pamplona.
Where is it?
Pamplona.
Pamplona.
So we went to
go there.
we went to Barcelona, Pamplona, San Sebastian, which is like kind of Basque country under it, and then back to Barcelona. We were staying in Catalonia over there. Gorgeous. We're on this huge hike over in San Sebastian. They have like this big like Jesus statue up on like this hill. And you walk up there and like it's cool. They have all like the old cannons. They would like use like to defend the peninsula or whatever that geography term is. I don't know what it is. But like all the old cannons and ruins, and like you're just up there with your best friends. Like, what are we doing right now? You know, like
This is where
like
people
like,
fought wars.
like you want to like play a show tomorrow? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like wild. Okay.
That's exciting.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
good times, man. I'll probably do it again next year.
I'm excited for you, dude. And I'm so proud of you, bro.
Thanks,
I,
man.
I really cannot explain, like, in words, just like seeing us and like you especially go from like that kid who was drumming on plastic drums with like 2 sticks, and us just like me and Aisha with the paper guitars and like singing in front of the little preschool classroom with like, you know, Miss Kim and my mom, and like going from that to like tours in Spain, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
I'm so
I
proud
mean,
of you, brother. Seriously.
Thanks. That means a lot.
And you deserve it, bro. Like, no, I really don't like saying like people, we don't really deserve anything, but bro, when you work for something, like I can confidently say you deserved it, because like, bro, like you said, 13 years you've been in it, like on the grind, and that's not counting for the practice.
Yeah, and that's not counting the lessons that I did for 4 years before that, 5 years before that, right? Like, it's always been a thing.
And there's a reason why, like, I confidently say you're the best drummer right now. Because, like, bro, when I see you,
I don't drum nearly as much anymore,
I don't
man.
care. I don't care. Bro,
That's
I was
funny.
one of your shows, like, you did it was like, I saw that stick flip, like, that shit was in the air for like 30 seconds, bro. I was like, dang. And then you caught it on time, everything, bro. Just like, perfect.
Thanks.
And so, yeah, just, I'm proud of you, man.
Oh,
and
it means a lot.
I love you, brother. Seriously. So, okay. Any question you have for me?
Any question? Okay.
Anything?
How like weird are we getting?
Anything. Literally.
You got a subject for me?
I'm
Like,
open.
I'll go wild.
Anything. Hit me with it, man.
Let's make it good.
Yeah.
Side note, this is while I'm thinking of a question,
Yeah.
just to put something on your mind.
Okay.
Like in that perspective, like, oh, you deserve it. I feel lucky. I feel blessed. Like I'm doing all this. Like feel accomplished.
Yeah.
In reality, like, dude, I feel like I haven't done shit. Isn't that crazy?
Does that ever go away, bro?
I don't think so, man. I keep telling myself, like, if I could just get to that one goal, like, I'll feel accomplished, right? Like,
And that's the thing, is it's not
never goes
about,
away.
It's not about reaching that goal, but like that's why they always say it's the journey. It's the journey. But there needs to be a way, and I'm still trying to find it myself. Like I've spent so long like building this studio and like everything we're seeing here, and like just like you, even I'm not touring, but like I still feel like I haven't like done anything, but I have, and that's where I'm gonna write a list down, literally like today, if not tomorrow, of like just what I've done this year.
yeah, it's crazy when you add it up.
Like,
It's ridiculous when you add it up.
Like goals, I have my goal list, right, of like what I want to get to, but like just what have I done, and like I'm gonna look at that and I'm gonna be proud, bro. And that's what's important. It's like even though we have all these goals that we have planned, it's not about reaching the goal, it's am I progressing towards the goal? And as long as we're progressing and we know that, we're not being lazy and we're giving our best every single day, and our best is always changing. But as long as we're giving our best every single day, bro, like we're doing more than enough. And I'm trying to accept that. So I'm gonna make that list.
Okay, I have a question. Kind of have two questions.
Okay.
We'll start with the one. We'll see if we get to the second one.
Let's go.
What would you say your greatest accomplishment is? Like what's
My family, bro.
your family?
And I know that's like
No, that's great. That's amazing.
Bro, the reason it took me so long and it took so much effort to be able to reach a point with my family. Like when I was a kid, bro, I didn't really understand like family issues or things like that. And not that my family's like it's like we're great, but it's just every family has their shit. You know, everyone's got their fair share of like things we go through, you know, and some more than others. But like my family definitely, like emotionally, there was a lot going on, and like for me to look at where I'm at with my family today versus where I was like in high school, let's say,
that's huge.
I'm so fucking proud of that, because like I ran away from home when I was in high school. Like I was depressed. I was like angry at my parents. Like it was like arguing all the time. To go from that to like my parents support me to the point to where like we're in this studio literally because of them. Like, and that's not just because hey, I said hey, like I want to do this, let's do it. Like I told them like they know I'm passionate. I've been at it for 7 years, like myself, and like they know like I sat them down and like hey look, like I have a plan. This is my plan, and here's how I'm gonna execute it. Not only did I show them the plan, they see me day in, day out. I'm in here every single day. Like, and that's why, like, you know, I'm trying to find those breaks. But again, to go from arguing and running away from home and like even me myself, like feeling like I couldn't trust my parents back in those days to like I tell them basically everything and like we talk about everything, we go out together and like we're finally spending time together and like they support what I do. I couldn't be more proud of like where we are now, and that's like the biggest accomplishment. I've had to fight for this, bro. Like I've had to fight for my family to like stay together. I've had to fight for us not to argue. I've had to fight for my mom and my dad to not like to love themselves, like to not let people step on them. And like, cause my dad is such a nice person, bro, and my mom is such a nice person, but the love that they have is too unconditional sometimes. Like if they love someone, bro, they'll do whatever they can to help them, but they'll sacrifice themselves in the process. And like true self-love means not giving yourself up for another person. Like you have to love yourself enough to where you can help someone, of course, and like do all you can to help them. But if it takes away yourself, like you're throwing yourself under. And I understand like love can be passionate, love can be burning, like I get that. But like we need to keep in mind like we are who we are because of us. Like without us, we wouldn't be with the person that we are or like able to help the people that we want to help or even where we are. So I've had to fight for it, bro. I've had to fight for it. Like that's been the biggest fight in my life and I've won. Like I've already won. And so that's why I don't feel like there's like this like thing I'm like chasing after on a bigger scale. I have huge goals. Okay, like, but we've already won.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I have this peace within me where it's like I've already achieved what I'm like striving for. And yeah, but then I still get the feeling of like I'm not doing enough. So
well, I love that you took a question that any other person would interpret as work related or financially motivated or whatever, you know, and somehow answered super wholesomely about your family. Like that's so genuine
it's me.
and real. Like to feel accomplished and proud of your family is like a lot of people can't say. And I love that you prioritize that over any other of the material bullshit, right? Because
literally,
a lot of people would be like, my greatest accomplishment is my car. It's like, well, like cars break down,
and
you know.
It's cool. I get you put the effort into it and stuff, but it's like that car isn't you. Like you're not even your greatest accomplishment.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Think about that. Like you're not. And okay, I didn't say myself, so I guess I'm kind of. But
no, but I get it. I know.
You know what I mean?
When your family's greater than self, man. Like
I hear that, and not to the point to where again, like I would like give myself up. Okay, I don't know. Situations can happen where I'm like, you want to be the hero sometimes, whatever. But realistically, like when we're thinking like true self-love, like yes, I didn't say myself, but let's say the car situation. If I was to say a car is my greatest life accomplishment, that means the car has more value than my own life and everything I've done from the moment I was in the womb, not even walking yet. Let's go deep. We fought as sperms, bro, to get to the egg. We fought that fight. Then we fought the fight in the womb. Then we fought the fight of crawling and walking and getting up and then running and like. Then we got into like childhood and then teenage years and like now adulthood. It's like all of that isn't worth as much as the car.
totally.
Like what? And so that's where like for me it was just like super quick of like my family because I come from my family. I do view my family as like myself because like I fought for us. It's not like I fought for them. I care about us and so I'm fighting for us. That's how I view family, like whether it's blood related or like friends. Like I consider you a brother. We always have each other, you know. So it's like I would do the same tooth and nail, you know, for you, and the same I would like my parents, my sister. So it was just like, yeah, just the first thing on my mind.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think that's wraps for today then, yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for coming.
Aw.
I love you. Until next time.
Aw.
Let's get a hug. Let's get a hug. I need a hug. We did it. We did it, brother. Let's go.
Oh, that's
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, hour 20? Sweet. I didn't even go that much over.
Dude, and it's still recording?